A head person from the DEA says that they misspoke about the Biden letter directing marijuana scheduling review, the Justice Department says. Oh, boy. The head of the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, misspoke when she said President Joe Biden sent a letter, in quotation marks, to top agencies directing a marijuana scheduling review, according to the Justice Department. Prior to the U.S. Health and Human Services, HHS, making a cannabis rescheduling recommendation last month, DEA Administrator Annie Milligram. Stop. Her name is not that. M-I-L. It's Milgram. It's Milgram, but I just want to put the I in there because then it would be Milligram. Said during a House Judiciary Committee subcommittee hearing in late July that the president had sent a letter to the Secretary of HHS and the Attorney General to ask for the descheduling process to begin. The assertion raised some eyebrows as the administrative mechanisms behind the ongoing scheduling review are not widely understood following the July hearing. Attorney Matt Zorn filed a Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request with the DOJ and HHS seeking a copy of the letter and that Milligram referenced. And the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, misspoke when she said President Joe Biden sent a letter to top agencies directing a marijuana scheduling review, according to the Justice Department. I can't imagine what Kim Jong-Pierre is going to have to say about this. But nonetheless, because she was just the other day saying how the Biden administration supports medical cannabis so much and always has from the beginning. But nonetheless, prior to the U.S. Health and Human Services making a cannabis rescheduling recommendation last month, DEA Administrator Annie Milligram said during a House Judiciary Subcommittee hearing in late July that the president had sent a letter to the Secretary of HHS and the Attorney General to ask for the descheduling process to begin, in quotation marks. The assertion raised some eyebrows as administrative mechanisms behind the ongoing scheduling review are not widely understood. Following the July hearing, Attorney Matt Zorn filed the Freedom of Information Act FOIA request on DOJ seeking a copy of the letter, and HHS responded last month saying it conducted a search and determined that there are no records in response to the request. Oh, not surprised. Then last week, the Justice Department sent another reply to Zorn stating that it had consulted with DEA, which in turn explained that the administrator was referencing the president's statement on October 6, 2022. In other words, the replies say there was never a separate letter from the Biden to DOJ and HHS. Rather, Milligram was apparently referencing the public statement from the president announcing the scheduling review directive, as well as a mass pardon for people who committed federal marijuana possession offenses. Given that both HHS and DEA had statements ready when Biden made his October announcement, it stands to reason that there was some level of communication with the agencies in advance, but eventually that did not come in the form of a letter from the president, as previously reported by a number of different people. Regardless of how the administrative process began, however, the question now is what will ultimately come of the marijuana scheduling review. HHS has completed its end of process, providing scientific findings and a recommendation to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act, giving it to Big Pharmaceutical. And the DEA is now carrying out its own review before making the final call. Because DEA has jurisdiction over the CSA, it is not bound to follow through on the health agency's recommendation, but some feel the scientific conclusion, in addition to political and public pressure, will influence the DEA to make some kind of a change. These people obviously don't know anything about the DEA and how they operate, but nonetheless, Zorn and the attorney who investigated the supposed letter from Biden directed the blog post about DOJ's response to Representative Matt Gaetz, the congressman who inquired about the scheduling review during the July hearing with DEA's Milgram. And Gaetz also sent a follow-up letter to DEA Administrator late last month, similarly requesting a copy of the letter she referenced. The congressman has separately expressed concern that simply moving marijuana to Schedule 3 may inadvertently lead the pharmaceutical industry to overtake the cannabis industry, which is exactly what I have been telling you guys this whole time. So Matt Gaetz hitting the nail on the head. And the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, misspoke when she said President Biden sent the letter, and yada, yada, yada. This thing goes on and on and on. You can read the full article over at our website at www.high9news.com. But apparently, there was no letter, Gretchen. What do you think?
Who announced it? Did the DOJ announce it, or did the White House announce it?
Well, the DOJ referenced it in that hearing back in July.
Are you
But I
asking
mean,
who initially initiated the review?
No, the letter. They're talking about the
when
letter.
big announcement came out.
Yeah.
When it was big news
Yeah.
like a week ago. Oh,
Right.
Schedule 3, Schedule 1. Right. So who made that announcement?
That came
Joe
from
Biden.
HHS.
Joe Biden made that announcement initially to start the process.
We are confusing two things here. Todd is asking who decided to go Schedule 3. That's HHS. The
Okay.
letter is in reference to Biden asking for HHS to do the review. So that never happened. And misspoke and Washington speak is what you throw out there when you don't want to say I committed perjury. That's what you put out.
That's what you
I
put out.
misspoke.
I was so confused. I thought I had a letter. I thought the U.S. Postal Service dropped this letter off, but I guess it got misfiled and thrown out in the trash, and we don't have any review of it, and your FOIA request is herefore denied. That's basically what they said.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, right, Gretchen? You with me on that?
Sure, I'll buy that.
Okay. Look at that. Look at that. Gretchen is buying what I'm selling. You guys believe that? Look at that.
Right.
Oh,
Doesn't
man.
happen often.
That's right. Gretchen
Write
is on
this
the
down, Adam. You should note this date.
Yeah, Gretchen's on the West Coast, so she's getting a little bit of dose of reality today.
Oh, please. Well, you avocado eating.
Mm-hmm. Did you get your avocado toast?
I'm sorry.
Love avocado.
It's got this weird texture. Ugh.
Oh man, it's so good. It's so
Garlic
good.
and some black pepper.
Do you
and a
like
little bit of
oysters?
lime juice. Yummy.
I like eat it for breakfast.
They're
Eat
su-
it every day.
They're
Eat it
really
for every
good.
meal.
They're really good for females.
I
Really
know.
good in general.
Yeah.
But right, for anybody. It doesn't. You don't have to
Just
be male
saying.
or female.
I'm just saying they're even better for females than they are for
Enjoy your
males.
avocado.
Right.
Mhm. Just
Is that
saying.
coming from Saman, who tells us old ladies how to say hi again?
Saman, you with us? You with us, Saman? Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, so nice of you to
Yes,
join
we
us
can.
today, Saman.
No,
Hey,
thanks, Saman.
Was it the
How
baby's?
you
morning,
doing, ladies?
huh?
How you doing, ladies?
It must have been
saying hello to all the ladies out there.
It must have been the kid's first day at school today, Saman.
Come on, chopped liver.
I was on daddy duty today. You damn right. And I had to take my daughter to school. So God bless you guys for hanging in there and keeping this show going without the dope dad himself here. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm a dope
man.
granddad, which makes me a dope
Yeah,
dad
I
also.
mean, absolutely. You got to be a dope dad to be a dope granddad.
That's what I'm saying.
There's a lineage. There's a lineage of dopeness.
I'll tell you this:
Family danking.
as long as
It's
you're just not
requirement.
the dope, everything is going to be all right, right?
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Remember that TV commercial they used to say it was for an anti-marijuana commercial, and
This is your brain
the
on
line
drugs.
was, "Why do you no? Why do you think they call it dope?"
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Uh,
Yes, I do.
Why
I
do you
do
think
What
remember
was
they
their
that.
call it
answer? I don't
dope?
remember.
I like the one. I like the one when the dad's like, "Where did you learn this?" And the kid's like, "I learned it from watching you, Dad."
Right. That's what my son said to me.
Exactly.
So, there you have it.
Yep. Mm.